and it seems so far-fetched.
We dream about the house every day. We're going to do this, we're going to do that every day.
I just see my daughter dashing out into the backyard playing with the dog.
We're going to buy a house and a dog.
My parents lived in the same house for 30 years, and I love that idea. Being able to raise a family and be in one place for a long time and really live there.
You definitely have that more than I do. I mean, I've traveled a lot. You know, I'll come around.
Owning a home is the quintessential American experience. You have something to provide for your family. You're building for your future. When a family comes in to see me for counseling as the first step towards purchasing their home, I always tell them the most important thing to consider is your credit. We can always find an affordability range based on your income, but if you have good credit, you've taken the first giant step to home ownership.
The road to home ownership. It begins with good credit, and good credit begins with you. To help you learn more about what credit is and how you can improve your credit history as a first step to buying a home, the Fannie Mae Foundation presents Knowing and Understanding Your Credit.
I had no idea what credit was when I first got my credit card. I just thought you get it now and you pay for it later. I didn't think it would affect you later on in the future.
You put it on the credit card and forget about it.
My mother or my father took me shopping and taught me how to shop, but my mother or father didn't know enough about credit to teach me about credit.
I don't think I still understand what having a student loan or credit cards means to my credit future.
What is credit?
Credit is really a relationship between a lender and a borrower. You're there to borrow money to make a purchase. They've got the money and you want it. And what they say to you is, yes, I'll make you the loan if you'll pay me back according to a schedule that we agreed to at the very beginning.
Good credit is defined as not having a significant number of late payments in the last 24 months, and preferably never in your entire credit history.
Bad credit is really when someone has abused credit, which is to say, they've gotten credit cards and they've used the credit cards happily, gladly, and then not paid them on time.
You give your word. You give your word to somebody that I'm going to pay you back according to a set schedule. And when you don't do that, that kind of says that your word is no good.
People don't look at you the same way. They say, well, he's a risk. Why should we lend them?
They don't trust us.
Why should we lend them $100,000? They say, if they can't even pay a car loan, which is only $10,000.
If you just let it go, it can just go wild and crazy like a roller coaster. And you can't get anything.
The price you pay when you have bad credit is that when you need to borrow money, you're going to borrow the money at a lot higher interest rate, if you can get it at all.
How good is your credit?
I have no idea what my credit is. I've never done a credit check.
I realized I had bad credit when I applied for a credit card, and they denied me. And I said, well, I knew that I had things in the past that I didn't pay for, so let me send away for my credit report so I'll know for a fact what it is.
Most people know intuitively what their credit report is going to look like. There are people who are in denial and who choose to forget about the things that may have happened 10 or 15 years ago. And there are others who are very concerned that there might be a problem with the credit report.
Well, I have to say, getting your credit report, you imagine these creditors as like, the guy with the mustache and the cape tying you to the train tracks, it's scary.
You think, my credit report, and you think, oh, I don't want to have to deal with that. Or if it does come, how do I read it?
The credit report really contains basically four categories. One is identifying information, such as your name, address, social security number, and so forth. And then credit information, any of your past activities and how you use your credit. Really a record of how you've paid your credit card debt and other loans.
Right. Yeah, well, that's, yeah.
Okay.
And then there's public record information.
Derogatory public records.
Yes. Bankruptcies, child support payments, tax liens, that sort of thing. Then there's a category called inquiries, And the inquiries includes how many applications you file for credit in the past 2 years. So you also don't want to have too many inquiries in a short period of time.
Because it means you're opening too many accounts.
Exactly, or
Okay.
you're looking for
Or
too
you're
much
looking
credit.
too much credit.
Right. Anything that you do in terms of living up to financial obligations becomes a part of, or can become part of, your credit history. As an example, if you're just starting off with credit and you don't have the quote-unquote formal credit, then something as basic as how you pay your utility bills, that can become part of what we call an alternative credit history. How do you pay your rent? How do you live up to your financial obligations? Those are the things that really kind of add up to credit.
How good is your credit? To learn more about your credit history and what it means, call the Fannie Mae Foundation toll-free at 1-800-599-5300 for a free copy of their guide, Knowing and Understanding Your Credit.
The Fannie Mae Foundation's mission really is to expand housing and home ownership opportunities, and we want to make that dream available to as many people as possible. And we see this guide as really the first step people would take in achieving that dream of home ownership.
This easy-to-read guide takes you through the credit process. Where do you call for a copy of your credit report? What is a credit score? Do you need perfect credit to obtain a mortgage? What steps can you take to build better credit? Get started on the path to home ownership. Call the Fannie Mae Foundation today at 1-800-599-5300 and ask for your copy of Knowing and Understanding Your Credit.
I'm so glad to finally meet you. I'm so glad also that you sent us back the credit authorization so that we could have the credit report prepared. Were you aware that you might have some problems?
Oh,
No,
I thought
we have no idea.
I thought we had good credit.
We thought it was perfect.
Yes.
Well, it's not perfect. It's not bad credit. There are a few items that I'd like to take one at a time. You might be surprised to see them, and perhaps they're not yours. The first one here is a collection account from the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Department of Veterans.
Yes. Leo, do you know what this is? Did you take out a loan with the veterans?
Well, no.
Well, the next step then is tomorrow morning, call the 800 servicing number that you'll find in your veterans papers. You have an account number here on the report. We'll make sure you have a copy of this and ask them, what is this and what do you need to do to resolve it? The second item that concerns me is this particular collection account. Do you know what this is? Could it have
Yeah,
been
I think it is.
school or something like
Secretary
that?
School.
The 9 means it's now a bad debt. We need to take care of that. Very important. Now let's look a little further. The next one is a retail credit account, and that's fine. The payment history is fine. But there is one other account here that concerns me a great deal. The holder of this credit card has been making some late payments. What happened here?
Well, that's a credit card that I co-signed with a relative that I have, and I'm the co-signer. I'm not the holder of the card.
Well, that person is not making the payments on time.
Is there any way that he can get out of, of the account, because he never purchased anything? He just opened the account with this relative, and
What I would suggest is closing the account while he continues to pay it off. And you can do that. But your name was on the account while these purchases were made. So you are liable for the balance on this account.
I was very upset. I thought it was very unfair because you always try to do the right things, paying your bills in time, and you think everything is right, everything is fine, and then eventually someone comes and tells you, hey, you have bad credit. It's like telling you you're a bad person. No, I'm trying to be good. I'm not a bad person.
Bad credit, it really is not a terminal illness. I mean, you can come back from it. It only takes as little as 2 years. You can kind of get back. Whatever those things that might have caused you not to be able to live up to your obligations can be corrected over time.
If I had a prospective borrower who came to me and they had issues with credit, my suggestion to them would be to go to a not-for-profit credit counselor. They really help people face this issue, which is a tough one to face alone.
In resolving the issues on the credit report, you will need to first contact the creditor. Find out if there are any mistakes. Then, if there was a good explanation. Was one of you out of work? at the time the payment was made late. You might be entitled to enter an explanation into the credit report that there was a drop in income and that's why it was late. The late doesn't go away, but it's there with explanation. The next thing that you can do is contact the 3 major credit bureaus, TRW, which is now known as Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, and ask them to make any corrections that are mistakes. You would have to provide them proof that you received them from the creditor that there's a problem.
We can get it ourselves, or is only available for companies or institutions?
You can get a copy of your credit report from the 3 major agencies. All of them have toll-free numbers that you can call. There might be a nominal fee involved, but you can obtain a credit report. If you apply for credit and you're turned down, then you can get a credit report for free. It's very important to start early to look at your credit because if there are late payments, you may have to wait in order to obtain a mortgage. If there are mistakes on the credit report, it might take you a few months to resolve those errors. If there are old accounts that you had forgotten about that need to be set